Hey y'all, it's your girl Joy back with another video, and in this video we are going to be discussing the fox eye trend and pose. I saw it kind of circulating around the internet about 1 to 2 months ago, and now people are still talking about it. I haven't seen a lot of videos actually talking about whether this is racist or offensive to the Asian community, so I thought why not do a video on it and talk about my experience growing up half Asian American and the struggles that we're associated with having more Asian eyes, monolids, and then having double eyelids. I do want to put a disclaimer out there that I am aware of the whole Black Lives Matter movement, the whole George Floyd situation, and just a lot of the race tension that's going on right now. In this video, I'm in no way saying that Asians are the only ones that experience racism or that Asians can't be racist, because in my personal belief, and you can disagree with me, is that anyone can experience racism and anyone can be racist. Doesn't mean that everyone experiences racism to the same level or degree, but that's just how I feel about the subject. And I'm talking about this topic just because it's trendy right now, and it's also something that needs to get talked about, because I do feel like a lot of racism towards the Asian community is very normalized. And if you're not Asian, this is something that you can't understand, and that's okay because you're not Asian. So I'm here to tell you that perspective. Okay, so you might be asking, Joy, what is the fox eye makeup trend pose? So basically, it's two different things, but they're often combined into one. So people like Bella Hadid and Kendall Jenner are notorious for popularizing this so-called fox eye look, and basically what they did is that they actually had cosmetic surgery where it lifts, it's called like a brow lift. As you can see in this before and after photo of Bella Hadid, you can clearly see that there's a difference, a big one to be exact, where in the after photo she legit looks like she could be partially Asian. And don't get me wrong, she looks beautiful before and after, but this is a big difference. And this is nothing new, but a brow lift lifts, it makes people who have sagging skin look younger, and it just lifts the eyebrow and the eye area. So if you have anything sagging there, it'll just lift it up and it'll make it look nice and smooth. And so people like Bella Hadid and Kendall Jenner have done stuff like this to their bodies to popularize it. Now you can achieve the fox eye look with tying your hair back.
You guys have heard about the ponytail brow lift. It's basically the fox eye trend. It is where you will lift your brows to kind of create a quote-unquote fox eye Bella Hadid style. So basically just part your hair down the middle, and then you're gonna go ahead and take a little side section of hair like this, and you can see when you tug on that, it pulls on your skin, it pulls on your eye, just like a literal facelift. So dun dun. You're gonna go ahead and do that on both sides. You can get both of them, and then when you pull on them, again, you can see it will raise your eyebrow and thus change your eye shape a little bit. So pull that back into a little mini tiny ponytail and use a very tiny little elastic to kind of secure that right there. Pull it nice and tight so then it lays flat on your head in the back, and then when you take your hair down, literally just cover that up, and you can see, oh my goodness, that is hella snatched. Look at that. It's like a secret sneaky ponytail.
You can also do this with makeup and tape. The makeup look is characterized by making the eyes look a bit more slanted, elongated, more towards like upper instead of like on the side or lower, giving you that fox eyes, because foxes have eyes that are very small and turned up a bit. So it's trying to mimic that look, that exotic, unique look, and it's very pretty. I think it's really pretty of a look. Also, false eyelashes and eyeliner are placed up higher than usual to get this look. So the fox eye pose is when you have girls that basically have their hair back with the makeup on usually, and they have their hands by their eyes and they pull it up like this, to act cool. Like, it doesn't look good on me because I'm Asian. I already have eyes like that. It's like Emma Chamberlain actually got in trouble by that for doing that. And so the question is this racist? I don't think the majority of people who are partaking in this trend are doing this out of being racist towards Asian people. I don't think that a lot of these girls who are doing these makeup tricks are doing it because they want to be racist to Asians or that they want to make fun of Asians. I really don't think that it's coming from that place. I think just knowing like female nature, women love trends and they'll jump on anything that makes them look good. So I think that that's part of the reason. Does it make it necessarily okay? No, but I don't think that the majority of people are doing this because they want to be racist, although there are probably people who are racist at heart that take advantage of a trend like this. Now, when it comes to the poses, especially when they have the makeup already on that makes their eyes look elongated, I think that's more questionable when you are literally pulling up your skin and your eye, and that actually directly mimics Asian eyes. So some people say that the fox eyes aren't Asian eyes, but if you're drastically changing your face to look that way, then whose eyes are those? You know, like, it closely mimics Asian eyes that tend to be more slanted, more narrow, more almond shaped, more upturned, more exotic looking. You know, Asians have more of a foreign eye than any other ethnic group. And I have to agree with a lot of people and say that this is like mimicking Asian features. So I don't think it's necessarily racist, because racism is something that's like discrimination or prejudice by definition. But do I think that this is offensive to the Asian community? I do think so, and I will explain why. And I will explain why most Asians are offended by this. Now, I wanted to show you a few pictures of various Asian people that I found on the interweb to show you how close of a similarity there is to this fox eye trend to how the way an Asian eye naturally looks in comparison to the Western, more Eurocentric feature, and how it just closely resembles Asian eyes, and you really can't deny that. So the reason why this is offensive to the Asian community is because, in like a lot of ways, when white women are tanning themselves really dark, or when white women use box braids stuff, or they're injecting stuff in their lips to make their lips bigger, you know, the African American community was very upset by this, because it's like they're taking all the features from African American women that the white community would literally ridicule and make fun of, and say that this is ugly, but now they're reinventing it and using them on themselves, and they're going to get praised for it. So in the same way, that's kind of how it is for the Asian community, is that, like, when you take something as your eyes and you make them look more Asian when you're not Asian, and that applies to Hispanic, Black, and white women, it's such a universal experience for Asians all over the world, especially in the United States or in just Western civilizations, to feel like they need to assimilate by changing their eye shape. It's such a normal thing among Asians to feel like disgusted or ugly, or like hate themselves because of a lack of a double eyelid, or just how their eyelid looks, or their eye shape is, or their boring eye color. Creaseless eyelids are commonly associated with Asians, especially East Asians, like Japan, Korea, and China. Like I said earlier, like, Asian eyes have never really been seen as attractive, and they've always been seen as like a defect because they don't have a crease. Like Hispanic people, African American people, and white people all tend to have creases, but Asians tend to not. And so it's looked at as something that is something wrong with you need to change this, or it's like seen as something so foreign because it's so different that it's ugly. And when you grow up, especially in America, with a beauty standard that's not attainable unless you manipulate your face using surgery or tape or some other unconventional method, like, you really do begin to feel like you're not beautiful because of that one trait of yours that happens to be a part of your heritage that's not white or Americanish. Like, it's so crazy that South Korea, where my mom's from, is literally considered the plastic surgery capital of the world. You have some of the most trained professionals there. You have people all over the world going to Korea to get plastic surgery. So many people in Korea are like getting plastic surgery just to fit in, to be more successful, to be more beautiful. Parents even sometimes give their kids plastic surgery as a gift, double eyelid surgery, so that they can be more successful in life.
눈을 가장 많이 이게 또렷한 눈, 또렷하고 큰 눈을 가장 원하는 것 같고.
근데 요즘은 막 쌍꺼풀 수술 되게 많이 하고 그런 게 너무 일반화되어 있으니까 아예 쌍꺼풀 없이 윗눈도 되게 매력적인 것 같아요.
요즘에 한국에서는 쌍꺼풀 수술은 수술이 아니라 시술이라고도 많이 해서
젊은 나이부터 쌍꺼풀도 하고 코도 하고 뿌띠 시술 같은 거 뭐 필러라든지 뭐 지방 흡입을 해서 자가 지방을 넣는 경우도 많고요.
And I have nothing against plastic surgery, but when you have an entire community where they're born this certain way, but then they're made to feel like this one trait that they all share is ugly, that they have to go to surgery and under the knife to change it, is kind of messed up when you realize it.
In Korea, eyelid surgery is regarded as a gift from the parents to congratulate their graduation from high school and entering the university. Most Koreans, they do not have double eyelid, so people who does not have any double eyelid, then their appearance looks like angry when they do not smile. Many Asian people believe that the first impression is very important when the most important parts of the face is eye. So when they have double eyelid surgery, their eye size become bigger, so they believe their appearance will be much prettier than before surgery. Korea is a very hugely competitive society, and in the job market, beautiful face is a kind of a great weapon because beautiful people always are chosen first.
저는 김수연입니다. 쌍꺼풀 수술하고 지방 이식을 했습니다. 원래 눈이 양쪽이 다른 눈이었었어요. 한쪽은 쌍꺼풀이 있고 한쪽은 쌍꺼풀이 없었는데 눈을 대칭으로 만들어 주시게끔 이렇게 쌍꺼풀 수술을 해주신 것 같아요. 수술하고 나서 훨씬 더 예뻐졌다고 칭찬도 많이 해주고 그래서 너무 기분이 좋았습니다. 주변에 친구들이 쌍꺼풀 수술은 거의 다.
According to a 2019 HuffPost article, plastic surgery first entered mainstream South Korean culture after the Korean War in the late 1950s and early 1960s. American military doctors performed double eyelid surgeries to fix the oriental eyes of Native patients, and the use of reconstructive surgery as a means of self-improvement quickly caught on across the war-torn peninsula. So now I kind of want to talk about my experience having monolids earlier on in my life, my childhood, and then in my teen years and adult life having double eyelids and how that happened. So many of you who watch my channel have only known me since I was about 19 years old, and you know me for having more of a Western eye look. However, my eyes are more almond shaped. They are smaller than a Western eye. They are more Asian, and people can still tell I'm Asian despite having a double eyelid, but that wasn't always the case. I definitely look a lot more white and Western now than I ever did when I was younger. I am half white, by the way, so that might contribute to my appearance. But growing up, I actually had monolids. I had a slight crease, but it was not defined. It was not noticeable, as you can see in like a lot of these old photos. And I used to live in San Antonio, Texas, and if you don't know anything about the demographics, especially back then where I lived in more poor, rundown areas, and so I was not surrounded by a lot of people who looked like me. I actually never really had white or Asian friends really until I hit middle school in California. And when I was living in these poor neighborhoods, my friends, people I associated with, and my bullies were typically Hispanic and African American people. And I'm not saying that all Hispanic or black people are racist. I'm just saying that that was the case where I grew up, and that's mainly because me and my sister were so different. You know, we were Asian, and most people around us were Hispanic and black. And I remember I would get bullied so much growing up, and my sister did too, and I looked way more Asian back then. And it caused a lot of issues for me early on, and a lot of it had to do with like me looking Asian. You know, there was this thing back then, like I remember at the playgrounds, like kids would always do to me and my sister, they'd be like, would go like, Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these, you know, and like pull up their shirt and stuff.
Okay. Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these.
And it was really like I didn't know how to react when I was like 8, 7, or 9. But now, like, and you can even see that there's videos of this from 2008 and 2009 of people doing this, and like how that was just okay back then, when in reality it really was never okay. And I felt so ugly growing up because I was Asian, because of the amount of bullying that like I faced growing up because I was Asian. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Girl, you got makeup on, you can't cry. Okay, I disconnected myself from my culture and my heritage, and I hated that I had Asian eyes. I hated it. Like, I would pray that I would be full white, and I would hate that God created me to be half Asian, because I always thought if I was full white, then I wouldn't be made fun of. Is my eyelash coming off? Okay. And yeah, I mean, little kids are mean, but they were really, really mean, and it was all racially done. I never thought I was beautiful, and all my role models growing up were white, who didn't have eyes like me, didn't have hair like me. I dyed my hair blonde too, to be like Hannah Montana and Sharpie Evans. And so, like, I just always knew growing up that I wasn't like a part of the beauty ideal. It wasn't until the late freshman year of high school, you know, when I cry really hard, my eyes get super puffy. There's a lot of like moisture and water buildup in my eyelid, and I will actually have a crease in there when I cry, and it gets puffy and swollen. So there was this one time when I cried really hard freshman year of high school, and I went to bed and I woke up and I had double eyelids. And it was a very interesting day because part of me was very ecstatic and happy because I was like, oh my gosh, I look pretty for once, or I look good, or I'm like, this is what I've always wanted. I always wanted to look more white so that people can see me as more pretty, or people can accept me, or people won't make fun of me, you know? And then as the day went by, one eye went back to monolid. And I literally have a photo of this. I can't believe I have a photo of this. But for a while, a few weeks, I had one eye that was a monolid and one eye that was a double eyelid. So after I cried, that eyelid did not go back to normal. And I was like, oh no, oh no. I was like, what am I gonna do? And I didn't have a job at the time, so I didn't have my own income. And I had always wanted to get eyelid tape to make a double eyelid, but I never did. I never asked my family because I thought they were gonna say that I was vain for wanting that. And so I never asked for it. But I was in the situation where my face was not symmetrical, and it bothered me looking at myself. It gave me really bad body dysmorphia. But I would look in the mirror and see one monolid and one double eyelid, and I hated it. And I was like, well, I'd rather have both monolids or both double eyelids, but not one of each. And so I went through this process of evening my eyelids by using Scotch tape. Boy, was that an experience. I got eyelid tape now, but it took a while, a few weeks. I would use Scotch tape on my one eye every day. And there's actually a picture of me. I don't know if you can see the tape, but one of my friends, I think it was Chelsea, one of my friends from high school, she'd be like, why do you have tape on your eye? And it was so embarrassing to really explain what was happening. I was trying to even my eyes.
I don't know if you can notice it very much, but in these photos, if you look at my eyelids, especially on the left eyelid, you'll be able to see that there's this tape or something on my eyelid that makes it look kind of bigger or puffier, or it's a little bit shiny. And that was because I was wearing tape.
And after wearing that for a few weeks, my eyelids permanently stayed like that. There was like 1 or 2 times since then where my eyelid went back to monolid, but pretty much it's been permanent.
So yeah, I went from looking full Asian to looking like a racially ambiguous person. to looking like I'm half Korean, half Asian, to the point some people think I'm Latina or Filipina or sometimes even full white. It's crazy, y'all.
Not only did my face change because of it, but just like my experience in life has changed. And it is kind of sad knowing that like a lot of the people who find me attractive now probably wouldn't have found me attractive if I still had monolids. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying you're not attracted to monolids, but I hate the notion that you have to have double eyelids or big eyes to be considered attractive. And how that is just internalized and taught and raised in like everybody from such a young age. It's sad to me that whenever I meet people, especially Asian people, a lot of Asian girls, when they find out that I'm half white, they're always like excited. They're like, oh, I wish I was half white too. And it like breaks my heart because I just remember all those times where like I like would pray to God that I was full white so that like I wouldn't have to like experience like the racism and like prejudice from people or that in my life. And I want to make this very clear. White people are not the only people who are racist. There's racists in literally every ethnic group. And I, for one, have experienced racism from literally every ethnic group. So we have to stop addressing race issues as if it's just a white person issue, because it's not. You have to cut that racism crap out of your own community. All of us do. Now, if you're someone that has monolids and you want to have double eyelids, whether that's surgery or tape, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what makes you happy. But I'm just addressing the issue of how Asian eyes are just looked at as ugly. And all these people who are not Asian are trying to tell Asian people how to feel about this trend and saying that, oh, I don't think it's making fun of Asian people or this and that. It's like, well, you're not Asian, so like of course you're not gonna know. You know, it's like if you weren't made fun of for your eyes, then like it's not gonna impact you.
The second type of bullying that I experienced growing up is prejudice-based bullying. Now, this kind of bullying is when you're targeted simply for your ethnicity. I actually spent a lot of time of my childhood in Alabama, and in my school, I was one of the only Asians. And I still remember that they would call me a lot of different names, like Chinaman, or Slanty Eyes, or Ching Chong, and occasionally I'd hear the word chink. I still remember there was one time where people would pull their eyes back and they would just like taunt me, and they would say, oh look, can you even see anything out of your eyes? Honestly, this kind of bullying was so common to me that I didn't even realize that it was actually bullying. It wasn't until years later that I realized that these were racial slurs and it was not okay at all.
You know, like there's so many things that like even myself growing up as Asian would do is like, oh, I can't take photos in front of the sunlight, otherwise I'm gonna squint and look even more Asian. You know, like I was like, everything you do is to look less Asian, to have bigger eyes, to have less squinty eyes. And even when I was putting this makeup look on, I was like, dang, why do I look so Asian?
I feel like I look way more Asian when I have makeup on, especially false eyelashes.
Whenever I have dark eyeshadow on or eyeliner or false eyelashes, my eyes look smaller, they look more Asian. And sometimes it's like internalized so much where you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, like I look ugly, you know, I look Asian. And it's like, since when did like being Asian become such a like synonymous with that, you know? And like all the people that are usually praised as being beautiful and like Asian entertainment, K-pop, or just like, you know, the very few Asian people that we do have in the media in the US, they usually have double eyelids, they usually have bigger eyes, they're usually more Western looking. It's not like your average plain Asian person. And I really don't want to sit here and cry, oh boo-hoo, racism, this and that, but I just feel like when it comes to issues regarding the Asian community, people really don't take it seriously. And part of that is because a lot of Asian people are passive and they don't actually talk about these issues head on. They literally let it go under the table. And I feel like if we really want to stop this type of thing surrounding any race, then we have to start talking about these things. And so for me, do I personally care if you do the fox eye trend? No. I think it's a really pretty makeup look. I feel like as long as you're doing it because you want to feel beautiful and not because you want to make fun of people. I really don't think the makeup look is making fun of Asian people. I do think that it is making your eyes look similar to that of a person with Asian descent, because you can't tell me that these girls putting this makeup on don't look like they got some Asian mix in them when you look at the photo without knowing who they are. So I personally am not really offended by it. I am offended by people who make fun of Asian people for how their eyes are. And I think it's about time you guys stop it. Stop doing that shit. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to participate in this, don't make fun of Asian people. If you want it to be beautiful on you, make it beautiful on Asians also. I don't, like, for Emma Chamberlain, for example, I don't really think she was being racist. I don't think that that was her intention. I don't really know her, so I can't really tell you what her intention was. But I just will say that regardless of who it is, the pose is not attractive. It's stupid, it looks dumb, and it's cringy. So just don't do it from that standpoint. But just also know that, like, you don't see Asian people doing this pose for the reason that it don't look good on us. Our eyes already look like that. And two, that's the same exact pose people do all the time to make fun of Asian people.
So you know, when you do the fox eyes pose like this, you might think it's cute and that Asians are being sensitive. Just remember that when you're pulling your eyes back like that to look more exotic, it's triggering to Asians because it reminds us when people do stuff like this, when they are racially charged and racist and bigoted. So yeah.
So that is my video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I love you guys. Bye!